Hello, everyone, or shall I say, Yasu. Welcome and thanks for tuning into this Your Overseas Home webinar on viewing trips, buying in Greece, and how to get the most from a trip when you go there looking for property, whether you're buying on the mainland or maybe one of the islands like Crete. My name is Richard Way, a member of the Your Overseas Home team, and I'll be hosting this session. It's great to have you all with us, whether you're watching live or one of our recorded versions, which you can get through the on-demand page on our website. So we're talking about viewing trips in Greece today. So we're talking about what they are, the importance of them for overseas buyers, how to get the most from them, how to prepare for them. Chances are, as a non-resident foreigner looking to buy a Greek property, for the first or second time, it could be a vacation home or a permanent home, somewhere to relocate to or retire to. You're not actually based in Greece at the moment. So this adds a whole new dimension to your property hunting compared to if you were searching for a new home in your own country or wherever you are residing at the moment. You're going to need to be more organized. You're going to need to put together a team of experts who you can rely on, and you need people on the ground in Greece who you can trust and go to for guidance. And no one is more important in that respect than your Greek property agent or your real estate broker there, person whose key role is to match you with the best property for your individual needs, which typically involves hosting you and showing you properties during a viewing trip there. That person isn't me, but we're lucky to have a property agent who's based in Greece on the line for our webinar. And she is Dee De Beer from Elxis Estate Agency. She's based in the mainland, actually, near Thessaloniki, but the company covers all of Greece, most of the islands, Peloponnese, and obviously the area around Thessaloniki. They've got decades of experience selling to American, British, and international clients, and their team have done hundreds, perhaps thousands, of successful viewing trips with international clients. So they're the right people to be speaking to. We're very lucky to have Dee on the line. Hopefully you can hear us all right, Dee, just before we get started. Just say
Absolutely.
hi.
I hope you can hear me as well.
Perfect. Okay, so Dee's going to talk. She's got a presentation that she's going to do, which is about 10-15 minutes, I believe. And then we're going to go into questions. We want to hear from you, our audience, if you're listening live, but I've got questions as well, which I think will cover off the key areas, the main things that you need to be thinking about when you're embarking on a viewing trip or you're starting out your journey to buy and find a property in Greece. So Dee will do her presentation, then we'll go into the questions. When you do have a question, you can ask it by using the questions tool, which you should see on your dashboard. Just type it in there and then I'll pick it up and I'll field it to Dee. I'll wait to the end of the presentation at least to do that. That's enough from me. So Dee, welcome. Would you like to, I think you're going to introduce the company a bit more as well,
Yes.
and go through the presentation. Over to you.
All right. That was all very correct, Richard. Thank you very much for the introduction so far. If my blue eyes and my name haven't already given it away, I am a Dutch national. I've been living in Greece for about 7-8 years now. I'm part of the Elxis team, like Richard said, and a quick presentation with some basic details, and then very happy to answer any and every question that you have. So let's dive into it. Elxis is a company that started from one positive legal intervention and has grown in the last 35 years plus to a real estate agency with a legal department. We have an international team of consultants that are very happy to guide you through every step of your search, because like Richard said, it can be challenging from far away, a different language, different laws and regulations, and so on. We therefore provide agency support based on a personal service, what you're looking for, your needs, your wishes, your questions, so you feel confident and well prepared when searching and buying, hopefully, your dream home in Greece. What makes us different as Elxis? We are experts mainly, so we know a lot about Greece itself, the real estate market. We have experience since 1991, so a lot of knowledge, a big network, and therefore we can guide you long before actually you make that purchase decision. That's the whole idea. Leading up to your purchase, I'm sure you have lots of questions. How does it work? Where to go? What to do? What not to do? Therefore, we've created also a blog with lots of details that you can read up on beforehand. And our service is no cure, no pay. So until you make that purchase decision, it is free of charge. And then we'll make our cooperation official. We have an in-house legal team of 9 qualified lawyers to guide you through the, let's say, legal process, starting at the due diligence on the property itself, making sure there are no debts, no other financial obligations linked to the property, and of course all the paperwork related to your purchase. So private purchase agreement, your power of attorney, all the way up to the notary deed, the registration at the cadastre, the tax office, and so on. Usually it's very helpful that you can do this in your own language if you are either English, Dutch, German, Greek, or French speaking, because we have all those colleagues in-house. And we try to be involved as much as we can also in the after sale. So if after purchasing your house, you have any questions, whether it's how do I receive my mail, where do I get an insurance, a phone or a Wi-Fi contract, can I import a car, what do I have to do? As much as we can, because of course we're not specialists on every topic, but as much as we can, we'll try and guide you also after you purchase your house. So on to the viewing trip. Once you have found 1, 2, 3, 5 houses that you're interested in, you want to see them live to get a feel of the property. So a viewing trip is a chance to become familiar with the specifics of the house, like I said, the feel of the property in the area. That can be crucial in determining if they fit your needs in terms of space. How big are the rooms? How big is the house? Is the view what you expected? The neighbors, are they close by? Things like that. And of course, the specifics of the location. So does it have the leisure and necessary facilities for you to live comfortably and pursue your hobbies and passions? If you like golf, is there a golf course? If you like kite surfing, are you close to the beach and is it windy or not? All the things that make your life the way you had imagined it. Accessibility is, of course, a very essential topic. Location is one of the most essential topics to keep in mind when choosing houses and seeing them. How's the transportation? How are the connections? Depending on whether you want to visit during holidays or live full time, it might be very important to see about weather changes and liveliness in different seasons, off season, mainly if you want to stay for longer periods of time. It's also very good to get a notion of the value of the home. Pictures don't always reflect reality. So when you go and see it, you get a better understanding of the value in relation to the asking price. Or if you want to negotiate, what you could use in the negotiation process. And also making sure that the house fits your budget, considering there are some extra charges always in terms of taxes, notary, cadastre, agency, lawyer, and so on. So generally, in Greece at least, it's about an extra 10%. It's a way to test if the property fits those specific needs for everyone in your family, as there may be other people involved as well. It's a chance to meet the agent, see how trustworthy they are, see if you get along, if you have a good feel at the agent as well. You can ask questions and to get to know the process like we are doing today. And if you are so enthusiastic about the house and you knew from the start, from the pictures, that that was going to be your home, you can, of course, also make a verbal or written offer on the house. Then, preparing for a viewing, what's important? So you found that interesting house to visit and you want to find out more about the property and its surroundings. It's important to ask the right questions. What are the technical aspects of the house? How is the heating, the cooling? If you want to stay in winter, in summer, how is the sewer? Does it have a septic tank or is it connected to the sewer system? How's the water arranged? Does it maybe have a water tank in case there are water outs or shortages, which happens during summer in some locations? Is a parking? How's the sprinkler system? But also more, let's say, legal topics like the type of ownership. In Greece, most properties are either horizontal, either vertical, meaning you own the land and the house, or the land is commonly owned and you have personal use of a certain piece of land and you own the property that is on the land. Also, we have a very interesting blog article about this. Then you want to know what happens around the property. Who are my neighbors? How close are they? Are there public facilities being upgraded that could potentially raise the value of your home in the future? Is the area suitable for rental if that's what you want to do with your home? So just a general preparation and overview of what's going on. What can you expect from your agent and what does your agent expect from you? First of all, what you can expect from the agent. Sorry, let's start the other way around. What the agent expect from you. You can be advised on the specifics of the house and location, the possible rental history, if there are any, the accessibility of the house. So basically all the details we discussed before, they should be able to tell you or at least find out for you. He or she will help you answer the questions about Greece, the climate, the economical climate, the purchase process, fiscal aspects, which are of course very important to have your complete financial picture complete. And if it is interesting for you, certain visas and whatever else could be necessary to realize your dream. The agent will send to you the terms and conditions for the meeting. So this will be something that you can expect from the agent to make it very clear to you beforehand in writing what you can expect. Like I said, we are no cure, no pay. We communicate our fees beforehand and what the options are in that purchasing process for you. And of course, if we decide to cooperate, you will get an official order confirmation to set the provisions for your cooperation. What to literally bring to a viewing. First of all, of course, your own transport. We usually meet at a cafe or the house itself, depending on the situation. A camera and a phone, so you can take some photos and remember certain things that you want to see or discuss later. Maybe speaks for itself, but especially in summer, Greece can get hot, so use some sunscreen, an umbrella or hat to shade yourself if you walk around the house, the yard, etc. It's helpful to also bring a measuring tape to make sure that you can see, how much of the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the halls, does my washing machine fit, does my couch fit, and so on. And of course, generally speaking, but specifically for projects, off-plan houses, solid shoes are better than flip-flops because they can be not very comfortable or even dangerous to hurt your feet. So keep that in mind, depending on the location that you want to visit. And the list of questions, the ones basically that we discussed beforehand, so you can tick them off and have them all answered on the spot. Hopefully, assuming that you have found that dream home that you are looking for, what to do next? Of course, it's important to indicate at least your interest in the house, as you need to keep in mind that not all agencies have exclusivity on the home. So they will need to speak to the homeowner or the selling party to say that you're interested in this specific property, so they can keep you in the loop if anything else is happening around that property. You can ask further questions, of course, if you still remember some after visiting. You can check the fiscal aspects, meaning the price of the house plus the 10% cost that I mentioned, and maybe check the pre-approval on your bank loan if you have requested that at the bank, because usually they get a pre-approval and then an official approval based on the specific property that you want to buy. We are connected to Eurobank. If you would like to request that pre-approval, I can get you into contact with Eurobank. You can make a verbal or written offer, which in Greece generally is not non-binding. So if your offer is accepted, you are expected to start the purchasing process. Generally, any reasonable offer will be very happy to communicate to the selling party. If you are quite certain that you're heading to a purchase, you can follow up with your lawyer, either from us, either a local lawyer that you wish to hire, and start the paperwork on that. And the paperwork in that case means a private purchase agreement for an existing property and a letter of intent if it is an off-plan house. Those two are signed before making a down payment on the home to reserve it and take it off the market. In order for any lawyer to take care of the legal handling for you, so you don't have to travel back and forth to Greece, you will be signing a power of attorney, either at a local notary / embassy, either at a Greek notary, which usually the last option is a bit quicker and a bit cheaper. So keep it in mind if you're going to visit Greece and you are quite sure that you want to buy, then it's wise to sign your power of attorney in Greece. The lawyer and the accountant will do the due diligence, as I mentioned, and also will be able to request your tax number. At least in our case, the lawyer and accountant will take care of that entire process. And to make it very clear, our legal department can assist also for properties that are not from our portfolio. Of course, the ones in our portfolio speak for itself, but if you find your dream home elsewhere, but you feel comfortable with our company and our legal department, we can also assist you on that for properties from another agency. A last few tips and tricks. As I think is obvious from the previous slides and what Richard explained, it's important to prepare well for the specifics of your purchase process so you know what's coming. It works differently in Germany, the UK, Holland, Canada. So have a clear picture about the costs and paperwork required. Once again, our blog has a lot of helpful articles on that, which I'll be happy to point out later as well. Like Richard mentioned, find the right partners to guide you through the process. Most buyers don't speak Greek. It's very, very important to have a good partner during your search, to ask your questions, to get help finding that dream home, and to make sure that legal side is not only clear, but is also executed legally and correctly. And finally, I'd like to point out that if applicable, you should read up on the different visas that Greece offers, like the Golden Visa, but there's also the Digital Nomad Visa and the Financially Independent Person Visa. Last but not least, Greece also offers a flat 7% rate on pensional income. So if you are heading towards your pension, it might be interesting to look that up. There are some specifics, of course, to the program. Again, there is a blog on this as well, and we'll be happy to personally discuss that personal situation for you and with you. That was my presentation, and now me, myself, and Richard will be very happy to answer questions. Richard, do you have anything for us yet?
We have a couple actually, so we'll
Very
get to
nice.
those in a second. Yeah,
Okay.
you covered off a lot of good information there. So, but I've still got a few things I'd like to ask. I'm going to point out quickly as well that the presentation is available to anyone watching to download. I've got instructions here. Navigate to the bottom right of your screen, click the three dots and click handouts. And if you can see the three dots at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to download it that way. So great free information. Make use of that. I was going to ask you kind of started the process from looking at properties. What happens? So let's superficially, hypothetically, someone watching this wants to engage your services, Elxis services. How will you start the relationship? Will there be, because presumably people watching they're not in Greece, so you'll start talking to them on email, FaceTime, whatever, and then what? Build up a short list of properties that you'll suggest to them based on their brief or your brief about them, or do people suggest properties they want to view? How does it work? How do you actually build that
Yes.
short list?
Pretty much all of the above. Good question. Of course, it's essential to know what is important to the specific buyer, to the specific client. We have created what we call the dream home form, so a client can fill out exactly their needs and wishes in terms of location, in terms of property, in terms of budget, all the essential aspects. But of course, it's something that we can also do in a personal conversation. We usually say that there are three things very, very, very important, which is location, location, and location. The location is essential because you could always change at least somewhat the property, but the location is very fixed. You cannot take a house and put it somewhere else. So we do focus a lot on the location itself, what we said before. So is it what you want in terms of distance to the sea, in terms of accessibility, in terms of the facilities around? Would you like to walk into the village and grab a coffee? Are you more of a person that needs a lot of privacy? Would you prefer to be a little bit outside the settlement? And so on and so forth. So definitely in a private conversation, we can focus on what's important for the person / family, and then start the search. If of course, if the location is still very open in terms of mainland, islands, Crete versus Thessaloniki and so on, then that is one of the first focuses. And then we can really zoom in on the property itself. We have a portfolio of our own, of course, which we know well. Um, we can also serve as a buying agent, meaning if a client sends properties to us that they're interested in, we can reach out to the specific agencies to gather all the details that they need, set up viewings and so on, and then discuss, help also with the bidding process, with the negotiations to maybe hopefully eventually come to a deal with that selling party. So there are two ways: either property through us and the client finds other houses that they visit and they make the appointments, either they send the properties to us and we take them on as their buying agent to ask the questions, answer those, get the viewings organized, help with the bidding process and so on. So those are, let's say, the two flavors that we could work with. I hope that answers your question.
No, it does, absolutely. And just quickly before we go to some of the viewer questions, is there a sort of optimum number, a recommended number of property to try and view in one trip? Because you don't want to try and see everything because it gets confusing and it's too much. So
Very good. Yes.
there must be
Yes,
a
very
sort of
good.
number of days, number of properties.
Yes. I would suggest definitely to not want on one trip to look at, let's say, 5 locations.
Yeah,
2, maximum 3, and a total of, not in one day, obviously, but a total of, 6, 7, around that number. So like you say, because at some point you forget, was that house connected to a heating system or was it that one? And so, 5 ideal. If you want to, have lots of options, stick to 7 or 8. That's really sort of a maximum to try and choose from. Yes.
great.
Otherwise,
Okay,
the
thank
details
you.
get blurry.
Yeah. And you get tired um,
Yeah.
right. Let's have a look at some of these questions. Andrew's asked, what information is a vendor legally required to divulge to the estate agent about debts or charges against the property, or especially confiscation judgments? Um,
Yes.
do agents usually ask? I mean, is it standard practice to ask what
Um,
charges are against the property, and
a
what do they
very good
what
question. Yeah, very good question. So first of all, it is the obligation of the buyer to do the research, and therefore it is no longer obliged to have a lawyer in Greece. It was at some point. It's no longer obliged, but it is very, very wise to take a lawyer in your hand to do this due diligence. They are the ones to find out if there are any debts on the house and so on, to get a bank certificate stating that this property has this amount of mortgage debt, or if they have any debts at the water and electricity company and so on. That's the job of the lawyer. So it's really advisable to hire a lawyer and do this for you. Having said that, the selling party has to provide all the documents to the notary, the property documents. And once the notary gives the okay, then they can draw up the purchase deed that will be signed at the notary. As long as the notary does not give the okay, the property cannot be sold. So the notary is the one to keep track of all the paperwork, and it is your lawyer that will do the research and the running for you and figure out all the specific details.
Okay, so that's one of you've really explained as well why it's so important to have an independent lawyer
It
working for you when you're buying in Greece or anywhere actually. Um, and I
is
suppose having a notary is also like a second line of protection in a way, because they do check
correct.
a lot. They
Correct.
check it as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, if for example, the property is not legalized, that's a different topic, maybe not for today. But since 2011, properties have to be legalized in Greece in order to be able to be sold. Basically, meaning that it's on paper as it is in reality, and if it's not legalized, it's not legally able to be sold. So the notary will not be able to give the okay and proceed with the purchase or the sale, whichever way
Yeah.
you look at it.
Okay, thank you very much. A question here from Dave. He's asking generally, can you assist people by buying a business in Greece? Um, so if they're moving over there to buy business, can you help with
Yes.
that? You can.
Yes, theoretically, yes. Just as a side note, you will not be able to buy solely based on an international business. So you would have to have a Greek mother, daughter, or independent company based on which you will buy a business. But we can assist with that. We can set up the business. We can assist with all the paperwork. We can assist with the specifics, let's say the financial and fiscal guidelines on that. It's not standard, so it will have, in a private conversation, we'll be able to explain the details, um, fees, technicalities of the process. So yes, there's definitely something that we'll be very happy to further discuss in a personal meeting.
Okay, thank you. Question here about, well, the service you offer as a lawyer and lawyers generally is, Leonardo asks, how do you approach the subject of a client who is unsure about using a lawyer that's in-house, so is part of the same company who's selling you the property, as opposed to a lawyer that's completely independent of Elxis? Is that, it can be deemed as conflict of interest, or is it not
Yes.
something you see often?
No, that's also a very good question. First of all, I'm Dutch, so speaking also for myself as a Dutch person, the fact that in Greece real estate agents can represent buyers and sellers can really feel like a conflict of interest, because in the Netherlands that is strictly separated. Um, of course, a lawyer is in-house, but has their own uh, legal obligation as a lawyer. So the research, I mean, it happens that, for example, the the sale of the property does not cover the debt of the house. So that the bank will not allow for that purchase to go on because the debt cannot be covered with the sale of the property. If there is a very complicated inheritance situation behind the property, the lawyer will explain it to the client and might advise not to move forward with the purchase because it will take a very long time. It will be um, unsure if the sale will be able to go on, or there are other aspects linked to the property based on which the lawyer, I've seen such cases, the lawyer will advise the client not to buy. This is the whole purpose and role of the lawyer, to make sure that the client is informed and that the job is done properly. In this case, the lawyer is linked to the company, but generally, as Elxis, the goal is not to sell. The goal is to make sure that the client receives the house that they want based on the price that they want and in a very proper way, because we started as a legal service, not so much as a real estate agency. So our
Yeah,
focus is very much on the legal services. Um, when it comes to representing a buyer and the seller, again, that does feel as like a conflict of interest. But again, the approach is to have a deal that suits both parties. So where both parties are confident, where both parties feel pleased with the deal that they get. So yes, it does feel weird in Greece, but the goal is to to come to a common ground that works for all parties involved.
and I suppose it actually can speed the process up because, um, you haven't got to go, contacting other
Through
third
different
party
layers
routes.
of
Yeah.
yes,
You've got all the
yes,
information
yes,
there.
yes, yes, yes. And what we do try is not to have like me as the talk to the buyer and then call the seller, because we have also an intake department and colleagues that speak different languages. So depending on the language of the seller, we do try to have another colleague contact the seller. So there is some, let's say, distance between buyer and seller, but it's still in-house, and like you said, that can really do speed up the
Yeah.
process. Yeah,
And like you said as well, clients are free to go and use another lawyer for their purchase
absolutely.
anyway. Yeah.
They do choose us most of the time, simply because we have a lot of experience, we have a good name in the industry, and we have colleagues that speak Dutch, German, French, English, so that they know that when they call, the phone is picked up, that they can speak to us in their own language in case something needs extra explanation, and that they know that they are being serviced by a company with a good reputation versus a local lawyer that is not very known or doesn't speak English properly or doesn't answer the phone. So it does happen, and of course it's a matter of a personal choice, finances, and so on. But speaking for our company, this is our reputation.
Okay. No, great. Good answer. Thank you. Um, Kevin asks, can I apply for an AFM online? I don't know what an AFM is. I'm hoping
The
you
Greek
could.
tax number. If he can apply online, you said.
Yes.
No, it's the accountant that applies for the tax number, which is why the accountant is included in the power of attorney that people sign. A few things I want to point out. You can contact any accountant and give them the power of attorney to request the tax number for you. As I said, it is included in the legal services, so it's not advisable to have two separate power of attorneys, which cost money, uh, for one to request your FME and for one to do the legal process. And also, it's not advisable to request your tax number at the start of your search, because let's say you don't find your ideal home now or you find it next year. Having a tax number in Greece, of course, creates some obligation towards the Greek state. So it's advisable to, if you want to do the whole process on your own, to request it at the moment you are ready to buy. So it's of actual use versus having just the obligation towards the state.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Yeah. So wait until you are actually ready to
Yes. And
purchase.
then either your lawyer or an accountant, whichever way you choose to go.
So that's something your team would do if you're using
Yes,
your lawyer. Yeah.
correct.
Great. Question here about the golden visa. If you're not sure of, I don't know if that's an area you work in or not, but
Yes.
you might be able to help. Betsy asks, under the golden visa, the minimum price for Crete is 800,000 euros. She's asking if that's correct.
That
Yeah.
is correct. Yes.
Okay. And then she then asks if she qualified for the FIP visa, um,
Right.
could you buy something less expensive as a property to live in?
I
Or
believe
what?
so, but I have to say we are not experts on the financial independent person visa. I would advise to speak to an accountant on that. But I
Okay.
believe it is cheaper because it's not based on the property.
Yeah.
I believe
Okay.
it's cheaper, but speak to a Greek accountant for that. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Generally, as a side note, islands with 3,100 inhabitants and over during the entire year have a minimum investment of 800,000. Everything under and the mainland have an investment of 400,000, excluding the big cities like Thessaloniki and Athens. Yes,
And
and
this is the
Santorini and
golden
Mykonos.
visa. Yeah.
This is the
So,
golden visa. Yes, correct.
so when you buy, for anyone who doesn't know about it, it means it's an investment visa. If you invest in a property with a minimum value of those values you
Yes.
just gave, you get your visa, your
You
residency.
get your visa, which
Um,
provides you access to the European Union and Schengen countries. It is extended every 5 years if you still own the property, and doesn't require you to stay 90 days and then leave again 90 days. So you can stay like a European citizen in your home.
Perfect. So, yeah. Question here about commissions, agent commissions. This is from
Mhm.
Leonardo. He says they recently viewed a property um, which which was unrepresented directly through the listing agent, but they
Okay.
were asked to sign a 3% commission agreement on that property,
Right.
even though they were not representing them, and we were going to be paid by this, but we're going to be paid by the seller. think I understand that. So the agent who was not,
Right. I'm also trying to understand.
yeah.
So the
Tell
agent
us how
that they
commission
they
work.
were
Yeah.
with, yeah. What I can say, based on
How
this
how do
question, as
commissions
I
work? That's,
understand it, yes.
yeah.
So first of all, an agent can ask the commission that they want. It's not uh, a market regulated, let's say.
So do buyers
Um,
pay commission? That's the question as well. Do buyers pay commission to an
yes,
agent,
yes, this is
regardless of
different
who?
than, yes,
Yeah.
correct. It is, yes.
Okay.
The buyer does pay a fee, as do the seller. And again, if the agency represents both parties, they can take the fee from both parties. This is not illegal
I
in
think
Greece.
that's what's happened there.
Um,
Yeah.
yes. What I want to point out as well is that the fee is generally between 2 and 4%. That is a market uh, a fee that is common in the market, let's say.
Yeah.
But there is no must in that. Usually, agencies, we don't do that, but usually an agency gets the buyer when they're on a visiting trip, gets them to sign a contract that says, with this agency, I visited this property with a price this much, that in case they decide to buy the property, the agency can prove that they are the ones that have shown them the house, because many times the house is not listed with only one agency. So let's say I go to agency A and see the house, that I don't buy it through agency B, and agency A loses their fee. That's another thing to keep in mind.
Okay, great, thank you. We were actually given half an hour for this, so we've run over, but that's not a problem.
That's
We've
okay.
got one more
No,
question.
no.
We've got this is a question from Dave. He asks about buying properties, says an apartment or villa, to rent. Or is that buying to rent or buying it? Is that we are looking at buying apartment or villas to rent out? Is that an issue? So can you buy to rent out easily enough in Greece? I'm guessing he means to holiday makers, or he might mean for long lets. I don't know. What's the story
Both
with that?
both are totally fine. I'll explain both situations. One, if you buy a house based on a golden visa, you are not allowed to do short-term rental. You are allowed to do long-term rental. So if you want to buy it and holiday let it based on a golden visa, it will not be allowed. Generally, it is allowed. There are no restrictions on that. It's of course very easy to do in Greece. And if you are a private owner, all you need to do is register in the short-term rental registry and you can rent out your property. If you want to be more professional about it, have a reception, have other services, or just rent it out as a business, you would of course need to start a business, have a bank account, and also have what is called an EOT license, EOT. But generally, if you are a private owner, it's very easy. You register your home, you rent it out, and of course, you pay taxes on your rental income in Greece. Again, there is a nice article about this on our blog.
Okay. And I'm guessing your after sales, especially with your legal team, would it help with filing tax returns and things like that in Greece? Is that something they can do?
Um,
Or you would
Yes,
have
well, we don't have accountants on our team, but there's always, like I said, an accountant involved in the purchase. The client can continue using that accountant or switch to any other accountant that we can advise or they find in their own network. But an accountant is definitely helpful in any case because they know the ways, and especially if you have income and you have to file your tax returns, it's helpful to have an accountant that knows the way.
Right. Okay. No more questions, so we'll wrap up there.
Okay,
Thank you very much to everyone who's watched. I hope it's been useful, whether you're watching it live or you're
thank you.
watching the
Thank you.
recorded version. Yeah, it's been recorded. So, and if you think anyone else might find it useful, share the link, spread the word, share the link with friends and family. And of course, thank you very much to you, Dee, for joining us and providing all that fantastic and valuable information. There's so
Thank
much
you
more
for
we
the
could talk
invitation.
about. No
Yes,
problem.
yes,
Thank you.
indeed. We'll be happy to do that a one-on-one with anyone. And thank you for
Couple of
the good
fun points.
organization.
No, not at all. We'll have you back. We'll have you back. We'll talk about more stuff. If you found this useful and you're feeling generous, we would appreciate a review on the review website Trustpilot. There's a link coming up now. There it is. Also, if you want more information, general information on doing viewing trips, Your Overseas Home does have a dedicated team of consultants who can help with viewing trips, give you all information and help you organise those. And I have a final save the date for you, which is the 4th of October this year. And that's when we're having the Your Overseas Homes virtual event. It's a comprehensive event. It covers all the different countries and all the things you need to know about buying and moving to abroad. So that could be talking to agents, lawyers, financial people, smart currency exchange, and they'll all be available to chat on a virtual in a virtual environment. So it means you can sit at home from your sofa and tune in that way and speak to people like Dee, and hopefully progress your plans to buy or move abroad. And as I said, that's the 4th of October, and it's running from 8 o'clock in the morning UK time until 8 p.m. So we've hopefully providing a chance for people across the pond in America to speak to them as well. That's it from us. Thanks again, Dee. Thanks
Very
everyone.
welcome.
Good
Nice
luck
to
with
be
your
here.
plans to buy Greece. Bye bye.
Yes. Happy to speak. Thank you. Bye bye.